Hello and welcome to Middle Aged Geeks. This week we're going to be discussing Project Hail Mary, the new Ryan Gosling movie. Will it be a brand new interstellar blockbuster or will it be just a crappy buddy comedy? Stick around and find out. Hello all, yes, welcome to this week's show. My name is Phil, joined as always by my co-host Daz. And what we're going to discuss this week is Project Hail Mary. So I'm just going to have a bit of a quick yap through about what the movie's about, Daz, and then we'll get your initial thoughts. So the synopsis of this one is science teacher Ryland Grace wakes up alone on a spaceship light years from Earth. As his memory returns, he uncovers a mission to stop a mysterious substance killing the sun and save Earth, and an unexpected friendship may be the key. So this one is produced and directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. It's written by Drew Goddard, and it's based on the 2021 novel by Andy Weir. A lot of people probably know Andy Weir's work from the very successful The Martian, another great movie. So this one stars Ryan Gosling in the leading role alongside Sandra Huller, James Ortiz, Lionel Boyce, Ken Leung, and Milana Vaintrub. This one has a budget of 108, so probably needs around 200 to break even. But I think even domestic this weekend alone is something like around 55 or 65. I don't have the worldwide figures, but I think it's doing very well review wise and stuff, so it should be fine. So Daz, what are your initial thoughts before we start getting into specifics?
Oh, this, like, coming off the back of last week's shitty movie, this is absolutely brilliant. I loved every minute of it. It's kind of like an old school, heartwarming sci-fi blockbuster, and reminds you of a time when, you know, sci-fi movie was much more than a sci-fi movie. You know, it's funny, smart, witty, emotional. The score is fantastic. It looks fantastic. It's one of the most enjoyable movie experiences I've had in quite some time. It's like Interstellar meets E.T. meets Gravity meets like Castaway, and it takes pieces from all those movies, but it's definitely its own thing. It just reminded me of like the power of the cinematic experience of just sitting there just in awe for the whole thing. And yeah, Ryan Gosling is amazing, reminding us that he is amazing, and he's not just a great actor, he's not just a good actor, he's a great actor. And he has to do a lot of the work here. And it also works as a two-handed kind of sci-fi buddy movie as well. And yeah, I mean, what else do you need? Just go see it now. It's absolutely brilliant. I loved it. How about yourself?
We could just end our review there then.
Yeah, that's it. Just go see it.
Well, I think like going in, I'd seen that Peter Bradshaw in The Guardian had only gave this 6 out of 10, so I kind of knew going in it was going to be good.
It's going to be absolutely amazing.
I honestly think,
wow.
Yeah, he is on this earth I think it's just to get a rise out of people. Like he's an absolute piss taker. But no, I thought it was great. You know, it's got a few faults which we can maybe talk about later on. But for the most part, it's just an absolute delight. It's got that, like you said, Daz, it gives you that wonderful feel of cinema about it. It's got that family blockbuster vibe down to a T. I love all the little Easter eggs and references, like the what's it called, Close Encounters thing was brilliant. Like it's great. I'm a massive fan. I think it's great, and I liked. This is off topic, but they have. I've got to find out where they get their swag, their merch, because the cap he has is awesome. The Project Hail Mary cap, and they're all wearing these those polo shirts, the Project Hail Mary polo shirts with the thing. It was like, right, they got to be selling.
Give me one of them.
I got to get my hands on one of them. It's just slick looking. But no, I thought it. Yeah, I'm like you, Daz. I thought it was great fun. It was just so uplifting and heartbreaking at times, and it does go from the whimsical to the very, very serious, but I think it handles it quite well. Very, very good. And yeah, but why don't we kick off then, Des, with the performances, because you touched on how good you thought Ryan Gosling was. Give me a bit more on that.
Yeah, because he doesn't do as many movies as other actors out there. He picks and chooses his movies very well. And I mean, like, you can just thinking of fucking Drive and Blade Runner and Fall Guys, which was brilliant, and even though it was a box office kind of disaster. But I think like his comedic timing really came to the fore in the Nice Guys, Russell Crowe, when you're just kind of going, holy shit, this guy is pretty good, but he's fucking funny. And this movie kind of reminded me of, like in Half Nelson, he plays like a school teacher. And also then like he's also played an astronaut in like, is it
First Man?
First Man. This kind of marriage of the two, and he's he just reminds us that he's not just a good actor, he's a fucking great actor. Like he carries like 70-80% of the movie is just him. Well, he's the only human character on screen, and to have to do all that heavy lifting, and as you said, there like it brings a lot of humor and a lot of kind of charm, and it's not like slapstick humor. He's just a funny guy in kind of funny scenarios, and his relationship with Rocky is fantastic, and it must be a lot of pressure trying to act to like I believe that it was a practical effect
For
for
them,
the most part. Yeah,
well, it was a
I think
mix. Yeah, it was a mix of the two of them.
mix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, some of the wider shots it's VFX, but being able to act when it's not just green screen or not just nothing there, but it is still kind of a rock puppet that he's acting to. And there's some moments when like there's obviously a lot of humor in the movie, but there's moments where he had me in tears in one or two scenes. It's just like, oh my god, it's just gut wrenching, and I just think he's just incredible. And in the flashbacks, he does an absolutely stellar job. Stellar. I love the man.
Yeah. No, I got to echo that. I think at the start I was a little bit, for a bit of it I was a little bit annoyed. Just I thought it was too zany. I thought it was too like, because a lot of the stuff is that we're talking very very serious situations, and there's some of the like even me who likes to make a joke out of everything, even I wouldn't be making jokes here, like, but I think that it works because once you meet Rocky, and Rocky's actually, his back and forth is quite funny anyway, and so I think it starts to work then a bit more. But I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I think, as far as I can gather, because I haven't read this book, I've read The Martian, and it's very close to it. But I think from what I gather, this is the book plays it quite straight with regards to this journey, and it's all about the cooperation between him. It's lot lighter on the comedies, whereas they really lead into it here. But I think it's to its benefit. I mean, you could have leaned into it, made it more serious, but I think that making it funny brings out the best in Ryan Gosling. And while we're on performances, I'd have to give a nod to James Ortiz, who brings Rocky to life. Like, and I think he was the head of the puppeteer team as well as doing the voice. So I imagine that's great, because I mean he like you said, he's not just acting to nothing. Then you're probably reacting to the guy who's playing Rocky and is doing the voice the whole lot. So, but yeah, I thought he was great, man. Like I to get that much emotion and that much character out of something that doesn't have a face. Like, it doesn't even have, because sometimes you might say, oh, they got great character out of that robot, but in general the robot has eyes that are flashing or a mouth that moves. This is just a blank stone face, and yet I cared more about this rock than some people that I know in real life. Like, it was yeah, I just thought it's just a wonderful creation. And just hats off to the effects team and to James Ortiz for bringing this character to life, because yeah, I absolutely loved him. I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like, it's like, you're totally right in the comedy is, or the comedy, like, it's not a comedy, but the comedic aspects are dialed up a bit, and it works a lot with the two of them because they're trying to develop a way to communicate with each other, and it's getting words wrong and like fist my bump and all this, all this kind of stuff it's just hilarious. And to see the relationship kind of grow, and that, like, then that I think the whole story structure, the way the story is structured, and where you start with Ryan Gosling waking up on the ship, and then you have like flashbacks that are it's cutting back and forth between flashbacks and the ship. It gives you kind of a bit of breathing room from their relationship, and it just works from a narrative point of view, because you're finding out more about Ryan Gosling and in the flashbacks, and then when it cuts back, you're also seeing his relationship develop with Rocky, and it just kind of hits you from both sides, like, which I thought just worked brilliantly, and it just adds to, you're getting almost like two sides of Ryan Gosling, two bits of his character development as such.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I suppose this, when you think about other characters in it, I know I mentioned some of they're quite small parts, for the likes of Lionel Boyce and Ken Leung and stuff. I mean, it's great to see them. The parts are quite small. So the next biggest part really is Sandra Hüller. No, I don't know her from much. I haven't. I think it's Anatomy of a Fall.
Anatomy of a Fall. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Shame on me.
She's excellent in that. I think this is her first English language movie. and
I found her so
she's amazing,
captivating. Yeah,
unbelievable.
there's something about her face and her presence and everything that I was just completely drawn to. Um, like she's got that, she's in charge of saving mankind pretty much, but
Mm.
it's just she has this awkward geekiness about her, but also the sternness and then the softness when you see her in the bar, the karaoke and stuff. Like
Yeah,
I just thought she was wonderful. I'm kind of torn between whether I like her or not because of what what she's getting people to do is essentially
yeah,
go on a one way trip and stuff. And you're torn a little bit between because she's doing it for the good of humanity, but how much it's paining her to do it. And yeah, no, I really am a big fan. I'm gonna have to watch Anatomy of a Fall now because I thought she was excellent.
excellent. But yeah, she's very kind of stoic and matter of fact and cold to a fault at times, and that kind of juxtaposition with her stoicness and then Ryan Gosling's kind of overtly charming and kind of silly back and forth between them is a good kind of mishmash. But then there's that like karaoke scene that just kind of comes out of nowhere and comes out of left field and knocks you for six. And I thought that was one of the best moments in the movie, when a movie all about fucking space and saving the world and everything, and you have a little karaoke scene with herself, and I was just like, this is fucking brilliant. I just loved it. Yeah, she's amazing. More from her.
It's great. Actually, I like that moment between the two of them on the deck of the what's it called, the aircraft carrier and stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, when he walks up there, how does Ryan Gosling make everything look cool? He's wearing this like oversized cardigan with like a baseball cap, and he looks like he hasn't slept in days. And like, how the fuck does he look shit cool wearing that? Like, no, he's great. I did spot a goof actually. Did you spot I did spot one goof when I was watching it. It's when they're explaining. It's in the trailer when they're telling him that he's the one that's going to go into space.
Yeah.
And while he's doing it, he has his glasses are hanging like down here on his chin.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of shots, and then when it cuts away, it cuts back to him. They're gone. Glasses are gone, and it cuts back, and glasses are back down here again. It's like, goof. It's like, how did they get that? How do editors let that fucking get through? Like, yeah. But yeah, so like, I mean, we've kind of danced around the effects a little bit. I think that the effects are outstanding in this. I think a lot of it comes down to obviously there's tons of effects, but they tried not to use any green screen or blue screen. So they fully built the Mary, the ship.
Yeah.
And obviously
they used the void.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you can kind of use remove the ceiling then to do the puppetry and all that kind of malarkey. But I thought they looked great. The space shots look fucking outrageous. Like we're looking over the planets and stuff like that. It's just.
Did you see it in IMAX?
I didn't know. I'm raging to see it in IMAX, but I've only got to set by the time. But no one to mind the dog. I'm like, okay, the quickest IMAX is half an hour away, and then I got to get back.
Yeah, I like this because the sequences in the flashback are kind of widescreen 235 CinemaScope, and then when it cuts to space, it's full screen widescreen, and it gives another kind of punch. Because some of those visuals in space, like space on screen, when it's done well, is always fucking just glorious. You don't really have to do too much. You just show the vastness of space. Interstellar did it. We're just showing Saturn and the ship, and you just go, nothing's happening, but you're still in fucking awe. But this is just, some of the space sequences are utterly amazing because they kind of tried to stay away from green screen, but they still used, that LED giant void wall where it just projects. It's a different way of doing the visual effects, but it projects and you get kind of more realistic lighting. Like some of we'll get into kind of it maybe in spoilers or not, but there's a sequence basically when the ship is in low orbit around the planet, and it's just one of the most mind-blowing. I was just, jaw was on the floor. I was just going, this is just fucking gorgeous. All the green colors, and then they do other kind of weird shit. It's just, as a sequence alone, it's fantastic. But the visuals is constantly just going, this is, from the vastness of space to the kind of weird, their depiction of the kind of things that are killing the sun.
The astrophage.
Astrophage. It's really captivating. And cinematography is by Greg Fraser, who's like done Dune Part 1, Part 2. And he did the Batman as well, but he's just a master of his craft. Like he takes things like Dune that are kind of otherworldly, sci-fi kind of sprawling epics, and just makes them seem kind of grounded at times, and then utterly spellbinding in other moments. I think it just blew me away visually. Like gasps.
And I do think it was the the Industrial Light and Magic team as well, who were involved in doing the
Mm.
external
Oh
space
yeah,
shots.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's almost like bread and butter for them. Like
yeah,
but yeah, it's so impressive, and I love the look of the ship. I love that kind of the idea of the center fuge thing being this.
yeah. It's
You
really
know,
clever where it
it's still
spins around.
tethered when it comes apart. Yeah, yeah, really, really cool. And as well is Rocky's ship. You know, because we
Mm.
obviously we know I'm not spoiling anything when he meets an alien. That the to make stuff like that, a lot of times you look at Star Trek and basically, or any other sci-fi, a lot of the time, and the aliens and their ship, it's pretty much on par with what the humans or have or the Federation have
Just
or the
slightly
whatever it
different
is. Like
color
Star
and
Wars,
design.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we wear different outfits and the people look different. Yeah, things. But basically, it's the same set, you know, and they're just pulling different pieces out, like to
Yeah,
make this table look more alien. Whereas when you've got something like that and they have to make it look so out there and something you haven't seen before. I loved the way they did Rocky's ship, Rocky's species, the way they explained it. I just thought that was fucking cool. It reminded me of, I suppose, all the strings and stuff reminded me a little bit of Interstellar. You know, when he's
in the end,
in
so you can the
the
bookcase. Yeah, yeah.
Tesseract thing. Yeah. Were you a fan of Rocky's ship and all
Oh,
and
just
him in
that
general?
that design is fantastic, and there's a few lovely sequences where the ships are kind of when they're tethered together, and when they initially meet, and Ryan Gosling is trying to get away from Rocky's ship, and you almost get that playful sense already with Rocky ship kind of following him and mimicking the movements he's doing. But when you see the ship itself, and you kind of get a glimpse later on of the ship inside, and it's just magnificent. But like Rocky himself, and even just the effects surrounding his kind of force field bubble kind of thing that he tries to create, because they're not only can't communicate, but I think Rocky's environment is really warm, so that, like way too hot, so they can't kind of coexist. So there's a lot of visual kind of trickery around how they try and get around that in terms of building different kind of contraptions and stuff and all that. It's just so seamless. It's not
Yeah,
never at once did anything like normally you will see something with a movie like this that has so many visual effects and they're all sublime that one or two will kind of go, oh, that's a little bit rough or something, where they were kind of stuck for time. But everything just looked just it never detracted from or took you away from the story at all. Just fucking loved it.
yeah, yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I loved his design. I do hope we don't no one decides to do a fucking Project Hail Mary 2. I don't need this. This is
Yeah,
just
no,
leave it the
just
fucking
leave
way
it.
it is. But it was such a great example. I loved it. I really like that. Um, you've touched on the score, Daz, and I would definitely like to hear more about what you thought about that. I think it was Daniel Pemberton who
Mm.
did the score. He also did the score for the Spider Verse movies, which you know,
Spiders
which are
just did a lot of
which
Black
he's
Mirror
been
stuff as well, and he's
yeah, yeah, and
yeah.
I think he's been nominated and stuff for the
Mm.
Spider Verse stuff, especially for how good it is. But this, like, not just the score, but the song choices as well that he's picked
Oh
in the
yeah,
soundtrack are great. Like, it's so much fun and also incredibly epic. Like those,
mm.
there's almost when those two ships, as you mentioned, as his ship and Rocky's ship, there's almost ballroom dance
Yeah.
feel to the music as they're kind of doing from it's I love that, like, and it's just it gets epic when it needs to, and there's those high paced things like you mentioned that's gone into the atmosphere of that planet. Like you really, really feel it. And I wasn't even in
Mm.
IMAX, you know, and I could fucking feel it thumping. I was like, yeah, this is just they absolutely nailed it. It's just really, really great work, I thought.
Yeah, it was because we've said it before, like that. Sometimes the score will kind of just be there, and you kind of force yourself to kind of chat about it because it's not something that really draws too much attention to itself. Where this one at times does draw attention to itself, but not in a negative way. Like there's a central kind of theme that comes through at so many moments, and you just recognize this is like it's like a theme tune to the fucking movie and its specific chords, and especially during some of the action sequences when it just kind of kicks in, it just fucking lifts you off your seat when you listen to it. Just going, this sequence is fantastic, and then the score kicks in. I was just going, this is fucking brilliant. Like I'd love to see a picture of everyone in the cinema, because the cinema was jam packed as well, which was fucking excellent. IMAX, one of the big IMAX screens, and definitely like 80% full. But yeah, the music is just it's another character itself. Like it's at times the emotional glue between sequences, and during the action set pieces, it just raises the tension, it raises the stakes, it just announces itself brilliantly, and then score, it's like some of the best scores, it fucks off at times and just leaves you in the vastness of space. So it kind of conveys the epicness of the journey, but also the kind of towards the start, it conveys the kind of loneliness that is kind of present, that comes across with the two characters when they talk about, that they're just they're out here on their own trying to save their worlds. Or as Rocky says, like, Rocky happy, not alone now. And just like, oh
Yeah.
God,
I love you, Rocky.
I love you, Rocky, give us a hug. It's fucking brilliant. Like, but there's so many moments you just go, I just went, wow, this score is brilliant. And I listened to it straight away on the drive home. It's just like, turn it on, brilliant.
Yeah, it really is. Like, he's rightly getting plaudits for this, even though it's so early, just after it released, which is great to see. Is there anything else you want to touch on, Daz? Like, when we can talk, we haven't really gone into the story too much, but I think it's not. I wouldn't say it's not unoriginal.
But yeah, it's tried and tested and trusted way of just like, here's something in peril, we're gonna die, the Earth's gonna fucking explode or whatever. In 30 years, we're doomed. But it was genuinely smart enough. It's like a detective piece. They're trying to figure out why these particle things are doing this to Venus or whatever. But for me, just on the story, I love the non-linear structure. I just love that. And a lot of times flashbacks are kind of a narrative crutch where people just use them just to break up the kind of story. If they think it's too boring, they'll just go back to a flashback. But here it's like it was meticulously planned, because it's not something that that you can rejig in editing, because some of the editing where it cuts from space on current timeline to a flashback, there are match cuts with specific shots that mirror each other
Yeah.
perfectly. Like, there's one shot where it'll just show Ryan Gosling on the ship, and it's a wide shot and he's in the left third or whatever, and then it'll cut to a classroom and it's the exact same shot with him in a classroom. Or another one, there's a rotation of the camera and then it cuts back to Earth, flashback, and it's the camera still rotating a certain way, and I just fucking love that stuff. It's just like, this is not something that they just figured out in editing. This has like been planned in a storyboard somewhere, and I just love that attention to detail. And it's a sign that the directors knew exactly what they're doing. Like,
it's that going the extra mile, isn't it? Like, you see some of these shots and you're like, well, you could have easily just done some sort of transfer, a fade even, you know what I mean, to it. You could have done something or my favorite, star wipe. You could have just done some really just transition to it easy. But like you said, as it shows that these things were meticulously planned out for something that a lot of people might not even notice that shot, but it's there for the people who do. And it's quality.
Yeah, it's directed really well. And I just think it's one of those as well where it's a movie that trusts its audience. Because I remember seeing something online. I think Matt Damon was doing a podcast, and he was talking about streaming and the fact that there is a thing with streaming now where there's a directive, where there's like a directive to convey the plot or what's going on at any given time at least 3 times during the runtime, because people will go out and go here and there, and it's just this it's just slightly dumbing down. And I love this as a movie where it just takes off and it goes, just pay attention. This is what we're doing. If you miss something, you just fuck it. It's like it knows it's going to be seen in cinemas and kind of trust the audience. And I like that. It's more confident filmmaking.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, why don't we put a star rating on it, Daz, and then we can have a chat about the more spoiler stuff and stuff we maybe did or didn't like. I just all the stuff that I kind of have beefs with. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. So, what would you give it, Daz, if you're going to put a star rating on it?
I was going to go 5, but I'd probably go 4.5 out of 5 or 4.8 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5, because I think it's very funny, it's emotional, it's visually spectacular, with a great score. I just thought it was incredibly entertaining, and a nice buddy kind of relationship at the central core that works. And Ryan Gosling is career best. I think it was just absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and I loved pretty much every second of it. A few little minor issues, but yeah, couldn't recommend it more, to be honest.
Excellent. Yeah, I think I'm teetering somewhere between 4.5 myself. It's just a couple of small beefs. I think I mentioned one of them already, obviously, with it, the zany comedy kind of thing I felt a bit too pushed. And then I'm not, and we'll find out what you think now, but I'm not too hot on the very, very, very last scene. I know it's only a few seconds long, but I was like, no, you should have left it the one before. But we'll discuss that. But I think, yeah, somewhere between 4.5. Either way, we both think it's fantastic, and we highly recommend you go and see it. If you're leaving us there, thank you very much for tuning in and all the rest, and we'll see you on the next one. And if you want to hang on for some spoilers, we're just going to talk about a few bits that we did and didn't like, and then we'll finish up. So yeah, that's like spoiler wise. I seem as though I've touched on it. I'm just going to mention it. The very, very last scene. Yeah, I did like the ending. I liked the idea of the two of them being together on the thing, because I was like, oh, what's going to happen? And I like the idea of the two of them still together. But I didn't like that classroom part at the end. I just thought he didn't need that. I'd like to just know in my head, imagine what happens. Does he go home straight away? Because he mentions, can I have the time to think about it? And Rocky's like, please take as long as you can, because he's delighted to have his friend there.
Yeah.
Cut it there. Yeah, and just leave it there. You didn't need the recreation of his own classroom, back in back on Earth. I was going to ask, is there a time difference? Because when you cut back to Sandra Hüller and she's got the packages that have been delivered, she looks,
because it takes,
they've aged her, haven't they?
It takes, is it like 5 or 10 years or something? It takes for the messages to go back. I think they said that at one point, where it's a one-way trip, but for him to send probes back will take 10 years or however long it took him to get there.
Right,
which was, I think it was 11 years or something. I can't remember, but because she's just slightly more wrinkly and grey and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether it was due to the kind of, as in, I'll touch on Interstellar again, whether it's that it's something to do with that, the time difference. When you're saying it's closer to the black hole, blah blah blah. I wasn't sure if it was that or whatever. Not that it's a big deal.
But yeah, with the ending, it's a weird one, because it's 2 hours 35, and I think just because it's like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. People think it's like 25 minutes too long. It's not. It's about 2 minutes too long, but it's just one or two scenes. And this, it's like I don't have a problem. I didn't hate the ending. Like, for me, it still works. Where you're kind of going, that's kind of nice. But me personally, I either like a very bittersweet ending, which this was never going to be, but like something where one of them dies, which is like, please, because I'd already cried and teared up during one of the earlier scenes. I was like, oh, bring it on. If Rocky fucking dies, I'm gonna lose my shit. But then you're kind of going, okay, they're going down the happier ending, and that's fine. But I guess it's kind of closure as well for the audience, where you do find out what happens, and that just ticks all the boxes for the masses, and that's perfectly fine. I don't think I wouldn't knock off any ratings for that. But also, if they did cut that kind of classroom scene, and if you just said, take as long as you want, and then just cut to black, I'd be like, oh, that's fucking brilliant. Because then it just opens it up a little bit more. What do you think happened? But then you're probably going down the route of someone going, let's have a sequel. What happened? It's just like, oh God. But it works as an ending, because there's like a mini twist, mini reveal in this that it kind of didn't see coming, that is his reason for staying as well. The fact that it's brilliant, where when he tells Sandra that basically one of the last flashbacks is he can't do it. Like, he still sees himself as a failure, and just like, I'm just not up to it. I'm not a hero. And then she goes, well, sorry, we're just going to fucking induce your coma now. You're going on the fucking ship. And that's a nice dark twist to it. You're just like, whoa, that changes her character completely, where it really is. She is kind of as warm as possible, but she has to get the fucking mission done. You're going on the fucking ship. I'm sending you on a suicide mission against your will. So like, wow, that's fucking, and I loved that setup. Then that was enough of a dark side to the movie that you can deal with the more saccharine ending. So kind of balance it up kind of nicely. But I didn't see that coming at all. It's just like, woof.
I suppose one spoilery bit is I'm with you, man. When Rocky is risking his life to save him, and he starts getting all burnt up and everything, man. I literally caught myself going like this, with my hand over my mouth and leaning forward on the thing, going, oh no! Like, it was just, so it's just like, no, don't let that happen to him, because I completely fall in love with this little character. He's brilliant,
and that sequence
really pulls on the heartstrings. It's the way it's shot, when it's cutting in and out of the dark and stuff, and you're just catching glimpses of what's happening to him, with the kind of smoke that's getting burned off him.
It reminded me of like the docking scene in Interstellar. Not in terms of the grand scale of it, but the visuals that Nolan was doing there, where you have a ship spinning and you're just getting the shadows from the sun and the ship just kind of rotating
Oh
around.
yeah, yeah.
When they start doing that at that moment, and it's kind of spinning around, and Gosling is just smacked against the fucking control panel and can't do anything, and you're getting all these kind of flashes and glimpses just from light kind of cascading around the ship, and that's one of those moments where it just goes silent and it's just spinning around. There's no score, there's no fucking audio or anything. And in IMAX, it was just like, it just the silence was deafening. It's just like, fucking hell. It's mad for a scene to be so intense when there's no IMAX sound rumbling the fucking seats and stuff. I thought it was amazing. But I would say that like the emotional one, or the emotional bit when Gosling, when Gosling explains to Rocky that, like, look, it is a one-way trip, and I'm okay with that, and when he's totally not okay with it, but he's just like, I've made my peace with that. It's a one-way trip, and then Rocky is saying like, well, Rocky fix, I'll give you some of the astrophage, and it'll end up taking him 6 years. It'll take Rocky 6 years longer, but I'll do that so you can go home because you're my friend or whatever. And it's Gosling, like Ryan Gosling has his back to him, and when he turns around, it's just tears in his eyes. I was just like, oh my god! And the score kicks in, then I'm just like, oh, fuck off. It was amazing. It was just in tears, just going, that scene. It's just a beautiful scene between a really brilliant actor and a rock. Amazing.
Yeah, that was spot on, man. Yeah, me too. Well, look, I think if we started going on here about spoilers and things we loved about a 2.5 hour long movie, we'll be here all night. So we'll finish it up there. Just a reminder for all of you at home, we gave it between 4.5. So yeah, look, as we said, keep on liking, subscribing, give us some comments. What did you think? Do you think it's just another cheap ass buddy movie, or did you think it could be the actual finally getting the blockbuster that makes some money after so many disappointments recently? But yeah, look, we will see you all in the next one. So take care of each other, and bye bye.